Welcome to the Back of the Fridge, the podcast that explores food news you could use, culinary trends, and at times, I'm going to peel back some of the layers of stories hiding behind your breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. I'm your host, the journalist who cooks. In this episode, I like to pour up some insight in the food and beverage space, specifically wine. If you like wine as much as I do, this tidbit is for you. Glancy Wine Education Foundation is offering scholarships to learn more about wine. With all the layoffs taking place in the United States, studying wine might be a good opportunity to finally make a transition into a new career or an in-the-meantime side hustle. The Glancy Wine Education Foundation provides underserved and minority communities with scholarships to expand their professional wine education in the hopes of increasing diversity and raising earning power. The show notes has more information with hyperlinks included. Sticking to the theme of wine, have you heard the latest? The Associated Press served up a story about artificial intelligence making its way into vineyards. Some vineyards in Napa Valley are adopting AI-powered autonomous tractors to improve efficiency, sustainability, and precision farming. Now, these machines won't replace human workers, but they will help lighten the load and allow smarter decision-making by mapping vineyards and analyzing data. AI tools are also helping to slash the use of fuel, which will simultaneously lower pollution and conserve water. Companies like John Deere are folding in AI for targeted spraying and new technology like automated irrigation valves that can detect leaks and adjust water flow. Now check this. AI will also help keep an eye on the health of crops and determine how many grapes it will take to produce barrels of wine, which is critical for planning, labor, and production, and in my opinion, drinking. Okay? Now what's the downside to AI in the vineyards? Well, it costs a lot of money. And lack of training makes AI adoption a challenge for small producers, which make up most of the U.S. wine industry. Now, if you're interested in learning more, the link to the AP article is also in the show notes. With all this wine talk, I wanted to include a sip of what's taking shape in the social life of people moving to new cities. Blind group dinner dates are gaining popularity in major cities where new residents are looking for new friendships. Apps like Time Left organize dinner parties where strangers can connect over meals. Time Left operates in more than 260 cities around the world. Other services such as Blind 8, Dinner Table Club, and Real Roots have also tapped into the market, offering structured social dining experiences. Now, these gatherings usually involve folks completing questionnaires to make sure that everybody's compatible within the groups. And then it's followed by dinners at selected local restaurants. Now, this trend addresses challenges of forming connections in a city known for its transient professional culture. So, for example, if you move to New York City, you don't know anybody, right? So you're left to your own devices and be like, oh, I got to meet new friends, got to meet new people. This whole thing is supposed to help alleviate the stress. All right, moving right along. Composting in the District of Columbia. Okay, so the other day, while visiting the Shaw Public Library in Washington, D.C., I saw a gentleman with a bucket. He dumped the contents into a larger bin, and my inquisitive nature wanted to know what in the world he was getting rid of. Turns out the district installed 30 rodent-proof smart bins throughout the city to support composting efforts. The bins have sensors that monitor fullness levels. Now, all this means is that the sensors make it easier for the Department of Public Works to optimize collection schedules. So they're going to be scaling back on unnecessary pickups, which in turn lowers vehicle emissions. The program hopes to divert 80% of food waste from landfills, which aligns with DC's zero waste goals. The United States Department of Agriculture recently ended funding for two major initiatives, the Local Food for School Cooperative Agreement Program and the Local Food Purchase Assistant Cooperative Agreement Program. These cuts impacted 44 states that previously participated in programs affecting food access for many communities. The 6 states not affected by the cuts: Maine, New Hampshire, North Dakota, South Dakota, Vermont, and Wyoming. These states did not participate in those specific programs, but as for the 44 affected states, the cuts are expected to challenge food assistance programs and school meals initiatives that relied on federal funds. Keeping up with the food recalls. Glass noodles with vegetables by Jenga have undisclosed allergens. Macaroni and cheese bites by 365 Whole Foods Market has undisclosed eggs and meats. Is that where all the eggs are going? And then another food recall on the list, dietary supplements by Zara Herbals have high arsenic levels. It feels like every week there's another voluntary or mandatory recall on the things we eat and drink. And what about the pets? They have to eat too. And yes, there are recalls on pet food. For example, Savage Pet Food, they have recalls on their cat food because of the bird flu risk. So how do we keep up with the food alerts for humans and pets? There's an app for that. Food Recalls is an app that provides up-to-date alerts on food recalls, safety warnings, and contamination issues directly from official sources like the FDA and the USDA. The app helps people stay informed about potentially harmful products, including allergens, bacteria, and mislabeled items. By using the app, consumers can quickly identify recall foods, avoid health risks, and make safer choices when shopping and preparing meals, ultimately protecting themselves and their families and their pets from foodborne illnesses. All right, let's move on to something a little less serious. In the last episode, you learned that March is Food Frozen Month. A listener then chimed in and said, I missed a few food celebrations. All right, so thenibble.com provided an appetizing list for the month of March. Did you know that the month of March celebrates the National Celery Month? It's also National Flower Month, Nutrition Month, Noodle Month, Peanut Month, Sauce Month, and National Caffeine Awareness Month. Who comes up with these? Please, someone tell me. That's a wrap for this episode of Back of the Fridge. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button. There's also more visual content and quick bites on Substack via The Journalist Who Cooks. So stay curious, keep cooking, and I hope you'll tune in again next week for another serving of Back of the Fridge.